everybody, welcome to this episode of Hey Kerwin, episode 50. Wow, we've reached 50, and this episode is in honour of Avengers, and my favourite character, Iron Man, who I love dearly. So yeah, episode 50. It's 50 Shades of Iron Man, 50 Shades of K, 50 Shades of Hey. It's K. I don't know what you're doing. All right, Matty, what have we got?
All right, so first question. Salty Shades of Blue. Wow.
Salty Shades of Blue. Wow. Can't make that shit up, can you?
All right. You inspire me so much.
Thank you.
What is the path and the tools that I need to learn to do what you do?
Ooh. The path and the tools that you need to learn to do what I do, look, you really shouldn't be necessarily trying to... Look, I don't believe that you find your own path by following someone else necessarily. I think it's always, I think it was Tony Robbins who said success leaves clues, and there's nothing wrong with jumping on the path with someone else, to walk in their footsteps, to walk in their shoes, to find out, and to get the experience that they have. But ultimately, I think the most important thing you need to do is find your own path and define your own purpose, because what you might discover is you might look at what I do or people like me and what we do, and you might find it quite inspirational, and as a result that might be quite aspirational, and that might be quite motivating, because you're looking at something that you think you don't have, whereas in truth you actually have those traits within you. You maybe just don't express them at the level that I do or other people do, but that being said, you've still got those same traits. So it's really important that you don't put me up on a pedestal and think that what I do is so far away from you that it's something that is outside of you, because it's certainly not. But what I will say to you is the first thing that you need to do is really define, and in order to know what path to walk, you've actually got to know where you're going, because there are so many paths in life, and on the weekend I was only just talking about this with a friend, because I was presented with 3 paths for a specific opportunity. And, in life there are so many different paths that we can take, but if we don't know where we're going, that oftentimes we don't know which path to take, or we'll choose the path of least resistance, or rather than taking the road less traveled. And I honestly believe, in order for us to fulfill our potential at the highest level, often what is required is for us to take the path less traveled, is for us to take the path that is often rocky, that is bumpy, that has hills, that has valleys, that has flooded rivers and broken rails, because it's not until you fall over on the path that you really are able to learn the skills that are required to get back up. And it's not until you get back up that you realise that you have the resilience and the grit and the determination to be able to get through things. And it's not until you have the resilience from the mistakes that you've made and the grit and the resilience you develop before you realise that there's actually a lot of wisdom in that. And so, as much as I appreciate salty shades of blue, that you want to do what I do, maybe you need to look at doing what you do in your own way. And that doesn't mean that you can't do similar things to me, but what I can probably almost certainly say that our purpose may not be the same. So, what tools, what was the question, what tools?
Yeah, what tools and what path and tools?
What path and tools? Look, the first set of tools that you need is a set of tools to be able to manage your psychology as you walk and tread the path. I honestly believe that any path that we take is a lot easier to walk when we have the right equipment, or when we have the right psychology to be able to deal with the lumps, the bumps, the valleys, the gullies, the rivers with the broken streams. That makes no fucking sense. The rivers with the broken banks, or whatever it is, right? So the most important tool that you need is the tools to develop your psychology. So, you should read, you should experience things, you should put yourself in situations that are tough, that take you outside of your comfort zone. But I can't sit here and say, in this moment anyway, that there's a set of tools that I would prescribe that is required in order for you to do what it is that I do, other than going out there and finding things, trying things, testing things, falling, failing, succeeding, but most importantly, reflecting on the lessons that you get from the things that you do, so that you can become more experienced and you can develop more skills, more experience, more knowledge, but most importantly, more wisdom. Because once you start to walk your own path, and once you start to build your own experience and your own wisdom, then you're going to be, essentially guided along on your path by a higher form of intelligence that is going to surpass Hey Kerwin. As much as I appreciate you looking for a form of intelligence to guide you here right now, and I'm honoured and I'm flattered that you would think that it's me, the greatest form of intelligence that you can use to guide you right now isn't, hey, Kerwin, it's actually your own intuition, it's your own soul, it's your own, call it your own GPS, global positioning soul system, or something corny like that. And the way that you, become in tune with yourself, and the way that you're able to develop greater levels of wisdom is through your own experience, but most importantly, learning how to listen to that little voice inside your head. And not the one that tells you that you can't do it, but the one that tells you that you can, the one that whispers to you in those quiet moments where you're not stressed, you're not emotional, and it really points you towards the things that light you up. So that may not have been the answer that you wanted, but I certainly believe it's the answer that you needed, and I do wish you the very best. 50 salty shades of blue on the journey that you're on. Good luck with everything.
All right.
Hi.
At Love Shyla says,
I love Shyla.
on a bad day, what helps you to have grit?
Oh, knowing that this too shall pass. Bad days are like good days. They happen every now and then. And just like a good day, it's going to pass, and then eventually you'll have a bad day. And just like a bad day, it'll pass, and then eventually you'll have a good day. So for me, I know this might sound a little strange, but I don't pursue good days, and I don't run away from bad days. If anything, I am in the constant pursuit of balancing my perspective to see the divinity and the beauty of everything that's all around me. And again, this might sound a little repetitive depending on what videos that you've watched before. Good is just a perspective. Bad is just a perspective. And the more labels that we use, the more opportunities we have to feel bad, because if it's not a good day, then it's obviously a bad day. Unless you're having something great having every single day, you might look at those as reasons not to feel good about yourself or your life, or whatever it is that you're doing. So for me, the way that I handle bad days is the same way that I handle good days, is by seeing the balance in both sides. Every good day has a bad aspect to it, and every bad day has a good aspect to it. It just depends on what you're focusing on. But understanding that by virtue of the realm that we live in a realm that is based on duality. So there is a positive and a negative influence to everything. There's a positive and a negative charge to everything. There's a positive and a negative perspective to everything, and everything shares both parts. But it comes down to your ability to distinguish between both and identify both when you are lopsided, because when you are lopsided, you're polarized, and when you're polarized, you don't have a complete perspective, and we don't have a complete perspective, you're either going to be living in a fantasy or in fear. And for me, I don't want to live in fantasy, and I don't want to live in fear. I want to live in the actuality of the world that I'm living in, which is actually realizing or actualizing both sides of the equation. The way that you do that is by searching in those moments when you think you're having a good moment, looking for the bad, and when you think you're having a bad moment, looking for the good. And that's not to depress yourself or excite yourself, but to balance yourself out and not be contained, or not to be enslaved by the emotions that you might be looking for. Because the reason that most people are looking for a good day is because they want to feel good. And good is, feeling good is an emotion. Emotions are addictive, but they're also, not only are they addictive, they intoxicate us, and they skew our perspective from seeing the reality on the actuality of the things that are in front of us. And so for me, I don't pursue the feeling of good, I pursue the feeling of peace. I pursue the feeling of joy. I pursue the feeling of just being absent of emotion, in most cases neutral, to be able to see everything that's going on around me, so I can appreciate the beauty and the divinity and the balance that is always there. And so as a result, I may not necessarily have lots of good days, but I can tell you also I don't have lots of bad days. I have lots of really incredibly divine days. And that's not to put it up on a pedestal and a fantasy of all my days are incredibly amazing, but all my days for the most part are incredibly balanced in my perspective, in their reflection, or in the moment, or in the forecast of what's going to be coming, to be able to see that the balance is always present. It just comes down to our ability to see it. So hopefully that helps.
I feel like that's an episode.
That's an episode right there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's episode 50 of the hashtag Hey Kerwin show, dedicated to Endgame Avengers. With a special mention, huh?
You're not sponsored by Avengers.
No, we're not. I should mention that we are not sponsored, endorsed, or officially recognized as, or collaborated, or anything to do with the Marvel characters or Iron Man. I just happen to have a mad crush on Iron Man. I think he's pretty amazing, and he's my favorite superhero character of all time. That said, the question of the day. How do you handle a good day? How do you handle a bad day? How do you handle your days in general in order to maintain a perspective that motivates you and moves you forward in the direction of your dreams? How do you handle the good? How do you handle the bad? And can you find a common ground for both? Curious to know. Let me know. Hashtag Hey Kerwin across all the major platforms. Check out Unstoppable if you haven't checked out Unstoppable. Also on iTunes, on Spotify, on Lisbon, on fucking YouTube, on everything. Man, Unstoppable is rocking the house. It's an incredible podcast where we interview people doing incredible things. Yeah, check it out. It's pretty cool. See you next time. Till then, say hi to your mum for me.